to tonight's edition of Majority Caucus. We are live from our studios here in Accra. We are also live on your multi-TV. Well, tonight we'll be taking a different turn, not really a different turn, but a different approach. Most are those, or many are those who thought that the appointment by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has seen the light of day, be it through vetting or swearing in or subsequent approval from the parliament, despite the boycott of the minority. But indeed, there are issues untold within the rank and file of the NDC that many would not be aware of. So tonight what we will do is that we will dedicate our time to doing some expose as to behind the scene story or actions that otherwise you would not have known. And so tonight we are looking at the newspaper called Al-Hajj newspaper. This is it, right there on your screens. You could see it will be enlarged very soon. That's the Al-Hajj newspaper. Yeah, that is the Thursday, 31st January 2013 edition of the Al-Hajj newspaper. And if you had read what I just showcased on the screen, you would see that it's captioned President Mahama faces rebellion within from his own party. There's no much time to, but let me just read some portion of it so you'd appreciate the discussion that would follow subsequently. The story goes, though no leading member of the National Democratic Congress has come out openly to vent his or her anger or raise a whisker about President John Mahama's appointment, so far, there is growing murmuring and grumbling among some members of the party that Al-Hajj can confirm. Signals picked up by the Al-Hajj are that some members of the NDC, most of whom played key roles in the president's electoral victory, but feel being marginalized, or people they had expected to feature in President Mahama's team, but are not, have in their people they expect to feature in President Mahama's team, but are not, have in their closet well-hatched plans which could irredeemably jeopardize the fortunes of the government. This, amongst many other complaints, has been captured in the story. So tonight, to help me with the discussion, I have been joined in by the managing editor of the Al-Hajj newspaper. I'm talking about Al-Hajj Baturi. I'm sure most of you have heard about him, but this is his first time exclusively on multi-TV. Al-Hajj, many thanks for your time here.
Thank you.
Al-Hajj,
yeah,
this is a story in your newspaper.
That's true.
Do you consent to the content?
Well, very much. You know, since the president made known his nominees for the ministerial portfolios, many Ghanaians have not heard leading members of the party or even ordinary members of the party come out to, as it were, to voice concern. And putting our ears on the ground, we picked up signals that all was not well with among the party hierarchy, and we desire to share that information with our readers.
But Balaji, one would argue that it's common. I mean, with every government comes, you know, some deficit in terms of appointment. Not everybody will be happy. So is it not natural order of governance?
It is natural to be expected, as you rightly pointed out. But in this particular instance, some of the people doing the complaint, some of the people who are expressing disquiet, are people that one may not attempt to toy with. Some of them are gurus in the party. In fact, most of them are quiet, let alone for you even to know their disposition.
Are you saying they don't have the president's ears?
I wouldn't say so, but it looks as if they feel not to be involved. You know, as the story says, some are themselves looking for or expecting to be placed at positions. Others are not even for themselves, but then they were expecting that certain people need to be among the president team, and their names are not part of it. And they are worried about it.
But Alaji, the important thing here is that the president and his own determination would know these are the people I think that would best execute my agenda, despite the pool of many good human resources that he could choose amongst. But that is, you know, it's just.
Personally,
okay,
I don't have much against what the president does or is doing. I don't have much. We are only representing what people among the rank and file of the party, what they think. That is what we are trying to project. It's not about our view. In my personal view, I don't have anything against what the president is doing. In fact, I must add that I admire the president's courage, because one needs a lot of courage and determination to be able to do what the president is doing. Not even in the days of strongman Jerry Rawlings or President Kufuor have we seen a leader stand by his conviction, and then that's what he believes is good or is right for his government and for his people. And that is what John Mahama has been doing, and I think that I admire him for that courage. But at the same time, I also believe that the president will have to temper in a manner not to bring back to the fore what befell his predecessor, Atamas. You know, the very first day Atamas came into office, he was confronted with problems, challenges, some which traversed throughout his period in office as president, and which could have affected the party's fortune in the election. I don't think that the NDC needs that kind of attitude now. So it is important that the president also strike a balance between his determination and the aspirations of the generality of the people in the party.
Alaji, let's talk about the pulse of the party's rank and file. Generally, would you say that people are happy with the trend of appointment?
You see, because the president has not been explaining the reasons or the motive behind what he does, sometimes you'll find people arguing from ill-informed position. While some also, like I said in the story, some were expecting to see certain people they believe had worked very hard, and yet they thought that the people have not been brought on board. But because the president has not been explaining, you know, like football coaches, it is creating some kind of, you know, anxiety, if I should use that word, among the rank and file. But over the last 1 week or so, since the publication, I think that we are seeing some downturn of those perceptions. We're beginning to see some kind of downturn.
How so, Alaji?
How so? We are not picking those anger, those, well, we are not picking them as we picked them at the time of the story.
Okay.
We don't know whether people, maybe the football could have also, the AFCON could have also affected this, I don't know.
Yeah.
But for now, for about a week now, we've not heard those noises that were coming up. In fact, at the point in time, some people you were not even expecting to hear from them wouldn't mind voicing it. Of course, they will not go public. But that is why we thought that we should let the president also know. You will realize that before this story, we did another story about how the president was not happy with certain people who were taking him to the cleaners and so on. So we thought that much as we are letting those people to know the mind of the president, we thought that we should also let the president also know.
Would you allow me to mention a person in case, because it is captured in your in your news item, Kwesi Prez?
Yeah. As we said, you know, Kwesi Prez from day one has been speaking about the appointments or the nominations by the president, and he has not been charitable to the president, to the point that at the point in time he was even saying what is happening shows that the president might either be confused or sloppy and that kind of things.
But he had evidence to that. He said the president was reshuffled even before vetting took place.
That certainly cannot amount to evidence. That certainly cannot amount to evidence. And for me, I thought that this is something that would irk not only the president but any other person.
Okay.
Because the mere fact that somebody was shuffled even before he appeared doesn't mean that...
It means there hasn't been...
it is not true. It is not, Ali, it is not true. It is not true.
Proper, diligence wasn't done before he was considered.
It is rather the mark of somebody who, a statesman, if I should say. Because at the time I earmarked you, Ali, for a certain position, certain information are not available to me. Okay? So that if in the course those informations come up, and I think that you will better serve here or for strategic reasons, let me do this. That does not amount to sloppiness. No.
But for a president, would it not be fair to expect him to have all the necessary
you
information
can never
at his disposal?
have all the nuances.
Necessary ones.
It is not possible. That is why he is a human being, and we are operating human institutions. Okay? How many of the nominees did he reshuffle? Or did he shuffle?
Just one.
Just one out of how many?
But
so
that still is a reshuffle.
Can't we even allow him that opportunity? You see, don't forget that the president necessarily has to also obey the constitution, which also takes account of gender, which takes about geographical and other parliamentary, regional balance and so on. So all these would inform so that I don't see this. And it's the same way people were talking about the ministers of state. And I was wondering.
They said there are too many.
They said there are too many.
6 of them.
And the simple question I asked many of those.
Not to talk of MP3, the 3 wise men.
The question I put to those people speaking like this is, what if the president decides to reduce the deputy ministerial positions, and that is why he's creating these ministers of state position? Do we have those information? We don't have it. Up to now, even no deputy ministerial position has been mentioned. What if the president decided, no, I'm not going to name more deputy ministers?
Do you think that's what is going to happen?
I don't know, but I'm thinking aloud. That's why I'm saying that before we can make any well-informed, take a well-informed position on it, when he finishes, then we can then do the necessary analysis. But for now, some of the noise, you could see that some of it are not sincere. You know, I see them not to be sincere, because, like I'm saying, until you have the full information, you should give him that benefit of doubt.
We don't know the basis for those criticisms. For instance, the one coming from Kwesi Pratt. Perhaps he has some credible information. One
of the instances he cited is what you just mentioned about shuffling people even before their names reach the appointments committee. And I just answered you that certainly cannot constitute confusion, because it is human beings that we operate. And this is not the first time in the history of appointments in this country. It happened during General Rawlings' time. Even the last Mills administration, if you recall, Moses Asaga was shuffled before even anything. So why this big fuss as if it is something unheard of?
But Alhaji, let's come back to the internal wrangling. We have seen a similar thing under the late president's tenure, President Mills. Are we likely to see a similar or a worse form of it? Because as I can recall, the consequences are not pleasant at all. Anytime there's this implosion, if allow me to call it, are we likely to see a worse form of it?
It will depend. It will depend on the president in particular, because I think that the last thing you want to experience is what you're talking about. And if that is true, then I don't expect him to allow any form of implosion to happen in the party. And I believe that he can ensure that it doesn't happen. You see, I told you that I admire the president. I admire him simply because if you take a look at his tenure, you realize that it took President Mills almost 8 years to establish his leadership in the NDC party as a what do you call it, presidential candidate, and then eventually vice president before 4 years, for 8 years as a presidential candidate until he became president. So he was able to settle in the saddle. He was able to establish his authority as the leader of the NDC, both party and government. But you notice that Mahama doesn't have that luxury
at all.
He just came into office 6 months into election as president. Of course, we all know when you are a vice president in this country, what the opposition call a planque, you don't feature in scheme of things, you know. So as a matter of fact, he had only 6 months, and during this 6 months, we all saw what was going on. You know, traversing the country first for funeral purposes, secondly to campaign and so on, before even coming into this. So he will have to do certain things to establish his authority, to assert his authority in the party. And I believe that that is the strategy that the president adopted, which is not wrong. But how far or how long would he carry on to that?
Okay.
You understand me? For now, I think that the strategy is perfect, that I am the boss, I'm the one calling the shots. And I believe that now the rank and file of the party have accepted that. Okay? Now everybody has recognized that you can only get the position at the pleasure of the president. Who is the president? John Mahama is the president.
You don't think consultation is necessary?
Consultation is important. It has been going on, but it is not deep, as I was saying. Now, where he has reached now, I would expect him to pause. And then
it's time to consult.
Wider consultations now.
Okay.
You know, to avoid those kind of ramifications. I think that it is very important because I don't think that the president can stand those kind of implosion when it begins to come up in the party, and I don't want him to go there. So I think that for now he has established and exerted his authority in the party. It is about time he changes gear. You understand? One thing people are not taking notice, you don't need to be a minister alone before you serve in your party or your government.
You get to go to cabinet, sit with the president.
It is not true. I know some ministers who don't see presidents easy.
But if you are a cabinet minister, you get the opportunity to see the president.
That is cabinet meeting days.
Of course.
And cabinet meeting, you only see him and then discuss what is on table, not your private matter.
But I'm sure you can book an appointment, but that's not necessary.
There are many areas that one can be of immense contribution to the success of the party or the government. And it saddens me when people who ought to have known all these things, when they make it look as if that being the minister is the thing.
But Alhaji, I think that the argument to that effect is that we have had people who have sacrificed their all for the party, and yet when it comes to distributing the cake, they've been denied their slice. It is not because they don't think that that is the only position that you have to work in, but they think that people are being rewarded for what is so undeserving of their efforts.
You see,
I do not want to mention names of some of the
that is one of the erroneous impression people have.
Okay.
On what basis are we going to determine how far one worked or one didn't work?
I will allow you to continue with the response when I come back from the short commercial break. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus Live on your multi-TV. My name is Ali Dawood. I'm your host tonight. We've been discussing the internal rebellion within the NDC, and I have been in the studio with Alhaji Baturi, the managing editor of the Alhaji newspaper. Alhaji, before the break, you were telling me why you think people should not be making that comment.
What is the yardstick of measuring one's contribution to this electoral victory of a party?
Financially, advocacy-wise?
That's what I'm saying. What is the yardstick?
I just gave you 2.
No, you are talking about what can constitute some of the contribution. I'm saying what is the yardstick of measuring that you have contributed to the successes of the electoral fortune of the party more than me?
Maybe the extent.
That is bizarre. You know, some of these presidential candidates, when they are on tour, on the campaign tour, sometimes they reach some rural areas, it's night, some people receive them, they even give them their rooms. And how are you going to quantify the contribution of these people? You are only here, maybe sometimes you're on air, you're on radio, you're on television, because you're a party man, you are privileged to be speaking like as I'm doing now. But that person in the rural area who moved out from his room to give that presidential candidate his room for all the period that he's in his constituency, that he cooks for him, they surrender everything to him. How are you going to quantify that person's contribution vis-a-vis you who is on radio and so on? I'm saying that we shouldn't go there. When we want to do that, the person who woke up 24 hours before even the poll started and went and queued to ensure that the vote was casted to make your government come into power, are you going to also say that discount his contribution?
Absolutely
we cannot do that. That is why I believe that we should give the president the privilege. It's just like the football match. Okay, Kwesi Appiah took how many players to serve? 23 or so, right?
Like 24 thereabout.
23. I think that all of them are capable of playing.
Okay.
But he only needs what? 11 to start the match.
Okay.
Some of them may not even touch the ball before the tournament ends. But then
even before that, it was 24. Has to drop 1.
Of course. But then at the end, all of them will share in the glory. And why? Under the Mills administration, we saw some people who were not part of the initial appointments, and there was so much fuss about it. In the end, they played in the dying minutes.
Okay.
You understand me? So that if you are not yet offered something, more so, some of them have already even operated for about 4 years, 3 years, and so on. And that is why I'm saying
that. The fear again is that if you have, for instance, non-party people, the likes of Nana Oye, Professor Nana Opoku, Jane Ajiman, if you have the likes of people like this, despite the fact that they have, good intellectual records, but they do not share in the philosophy of the party. So where is, the coordination?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to say this, but this is the second time or third time I heard you raise this point.
Yes.
The last time you were with somebody,
I've been looking for a proper
and you look
response.
At this, but you are getting it totally wrong, Ali.
Okay.
You are getting it totally wrong. Let me tell you today, and I'll say it. I didn't want to say it, and I have no permission from her or from them.
Okay.
Way back in 2001, 2002, do you know the role people like Nana Oye, Lithur played when we were in opposition?
My viewers would like to know.
It is not necessary. I will not disclose everything.
A bit of it, Alhaji.
These were my resource persons on the famous Alhaji radio program on Radio Gold. I was using Nana Oye and Co as my resource people. Okay. So that the fact that you didn't see her in the last 2, 3 years or 4 years doesn't mean that she may not have contributed to the cause. Professor Jane Nana, I have recordings. If you want, come to my place, I'll give it to you. Okay. She was a presenter on Radio Go, and you know what Radio Go stands in the political equation.
But one could argue that she was a neutral presenter. I don't think Radio Go is an outfit of the NDC.
At a point in time, her career will not allow her to show where she belongs to. Before she even became the vice chancellor, she was a presenter on Radio Gold. And I have a recording of one of the famous interviews she did with the former president prior to the 1996 election.
A historic one.
Historic interview. You understand me? So the fact that you have not seen them in the last 1 or 2 years.
But Alhaji, the argument is that Radio Gold is not an outlet of the NDC. It's a neutral radio station.
But I'm talking about their contribution of holding the then government accountable.
Okay.
And who was it inuring to? It was the opposition NDC then.
Okay.
You understand? They contributed. It is not. They were not just plucked from the tree. You see, as people want us to believe that they don't know, they may not be, as a city, I'm not a card-bearing member of the NDC. So that would you say that I'm also a neutral person?
But your advocacy has been in tandem of the philosophy and ideals of the NDC. So to a large extent, you are in a unique position.
And would you also say that their advocacy or their position in the past has been against the NDC?
They have been fairly neutral.
No, I'm saying that it is the position they occupy. Nana Oyelita,
it doesn't allow them to go that way.
You will recall, had to become Commonwealth Human Rights Association, their rep in Ghana, which does not allow you to be partisan.
Absolutely.
And the same thing with Professor Nana. Before she even became a vice chancellor, she was not allowed to show herself. And there are many people that way at the background.
One would argue that it is about options and priorities.
In any case,
they have the option to.
I'm also saying that in any case, even if you bring in neutral people, why? Who tells you any political party can win election with its own grass core supporters?
Certainly not.
Certainly not. So are you also not interested in the academia, for example, to win the academia? That day when Professor Jane Nana was coming for the vetting, how many members of the vice chancellors?
A lot of them.
Vice chancellors, what do you call them? Vice chancellors?
Association.
Not association.
They have a name.
They have a name.
Association of Vice Chancellors.
Peter Kaba, who is the executive.
I was there so many.
You understand? Because of that, even this can bring in voters to the ruling party. So we shouldn't see people who are not at the front line as outsiders. They are also people that can bring in the
Alhaji, as part of the story, it alluded to the fact that people have started boycotting flagship programs on weekends. For instance, Alhaji and Alhaji, which you started on Radio Good, because they were dissatisfied and a bit, disappointed with the appointment so far.
Not only Alhaji and Alhaji. I think that if you watch the landscape, political landscape over the last few weeks since the appointment began, you realize that not all the hitherto people who appear on programs, whether it's radio, television.
Some names, Alhaji.
I wouldn't mention names, but I'm just giving you the background for you to also draw your conclusion. And then this Alhaji, we picked it up that some people were actually boycotting it. And for the past 2 weeks, certain names that used to feature prominently, who are regular and so on, have not been heard there. You understand? So it's not a fiction, it is a fact that some people, as a mark of protest, are also deciding that, okay, let's hold on. That is a fact. And this is why I'm saying that the president may have succeeded in doing what he wanted to do to assert his authority. But he shouldn't overdo it. I think that it's about time he pauses and then change course. It is very, very important to carry everybody along. Okay? No matter what, it is important to carry. Some of us, we are used to this, but it's not everybody who can stand this. And some of it also come as a result of pressure from family, friends, and acquaintances. Everybody is expecting, Ali, you've been doing this work for fantastic work for the past.
Perhaps an appointment to do.
I believe that you've been approached by friends. Some people even congratulate you in advance that now I know that now you will be recognized. Now I know that you will be recognized. You see, so that kind of pressure is also informing people to be a bit disappointed. But I'm happy to see that gradually, it seems people are beginning to come to terms that it is not everybody who can, or necessarily should be in it.
But before I move to, I would want you to, because you've been very vociferous about the appointment of Nana Oyelita and very, very much against those who think that she's not fit for the position. But before you do that, can you just mention one or two individuals that you thought should have been appointed, just for the sake of it?
It is going to be difficult for me, because whether I say it or not, it will not change anything. I have my reservations, my personal, but they are my personal. And don't forget that me and you have surrendered that right to the president.
Absolutely.
We have surrendered it to him. We have asked him to take action on our behalf. And this is what he thinks. So that it is too early and premature to attempt to hold him responsible. Because they've not even started functioning, let alone for you to say that, but this person is not. And don't forget that most of the time, people that we don't expect to perform eventually end up performing more than even our expectations.
I'll go for my final break. When I come back, Alhaji would tell me about his defense for the Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Nana Oye, Honorable Nana Oye, later. Stay with me, I will be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. This is Majority Caucus live on your multi-TV. I've been here with Alhaji Bature, the managing editor of the Alhaj newspaper. Alhaj, you mounted a very spirited defense for Nana Oye Lithur. You think she is more than qualified despite her position on the issue of homosexuality, you know, in Ghana?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't say spirited defense for Nana Oye, maybe spirited defense for the truth. You know, opponents of the NDC are trying to portray a picture as if she has said she supports gayism.
Now those were clergymen, Association of Clergymen.
I'm saying that opponents of the government, because clearly you and I know that she never said she supports gay.
No.
She made it clearly. She made a clear statement on the floor of Parliament that she does not support it.
Okay.
Okay. I remember what she said, that she will stand for the right of every Ghanaian, including gays. But people are now trying to turn it around to let it look like she supports gay. It is true that she was not forthcoming with her exact position at the parliamentary. That one, there's no doubt about it. But I think that I can appreciate why she's holding that position, because for two reasons. One is about conviction, and the other also is about sensibilities of others. And I believe that all of us do it in our day-to-day running. It is not everything that I can discuss with you off air that I can sit here and then say it.
But she's going in a public position.
Yeah, it is true. But even in the public position, it's not everything that one, even the president.
People need to trust
even
you.
the president, it is not everything that he can say. There's a level to which you can say what you want to say when you are in public. And I always use this analogy or this example. Unfortunately, it is also not very good for our psyche and our distance, but sometimes you are compelled to do it. When you take the scriptures, for example, it tells you that until you are born again, you are a sinner. So can a Christian, for that matter, sit on public TV and tell a Muslim that you are a sinner?
Perhaps not.
Perhaps not. Not. You will not do it.
Okay.
But then he believed that so long as you have not accepted Jesus Christ, and for so long as you're not born again, you are consigned and condemned to whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And maybe it is vice versa when you take the Islamic
but Alhaji, the argument about gay
position,
I think is a societal phenomenon. It's the anger generated from the society that abhors such conduct. It has nothing to do with religion per se.
One Ghanaian who says that he supports gay. I'm yet to come across. If you can tell me one.
None that I can think of.
I have not come across any Ghanaian who says that he supports gay, and that has been the position of majority of Ghanaians, because whether you are traditionalist, whether you are Muslim, whether you are Christianity, your belief frowns on it. And these are the three major religious groups that we have in this country: traditionalists, Muslims, and Christians. And all of them frown on it.
Is it true that the Islamic community has been silent on this issue? I quite remember under the former president, they went on demonstration. I haven't been listening to some rumors, I must add, that the Islamic community has been silent.
In fact, the Islamic community is among the vociferous in the fight against gay.
Okay.
If you recall in Takrady, that where there was a public demonstration by Muslims against gayism.
They say with regards to the appointment of Nana Oye, they've been silent. And
that is where the problem lies. When the issue of gay began to manifest itself, the Muslim community in Takrady rose to it. And in Accra here, Jamestown area. But as we are talking now, did Nana Oye say she would
protect,
promote?
Protect, not promote.
Did she say she would promote?
No, but protect.
Did she say she would support?
She says she will protect. And according to lawyer Moses Fuaminin, he says there's a thin line between the two. When you say you protect, what are you protecting? Are you protecting the practice of homosexuality?
Does that make you supporter of gayism.
But if you are protecting their right to do that, what really are you doing, Alaji?
So that if I also chance upon armed robber or a murderer being lynched, and I protect him, his right to fair trial.
But they said that the argument about right to fair trial has never been in doubt. It is not in question. Everybody agrees. We are talking about the acts, not the consequences. The fact that somebody is doing and you are protecting the conduct, and not that people would abuse his rights.
Did she say she was protecting the conduct?
Well, she said she will. The question was whether or not she condemns it. She said she will not promote it, but she will protect their rights.
Their rights as human beings.
Well, Alaji.
Their rights.
she did not qualify it as such. She said she will protect their rights.
Their rights as enshrined in the Constitution.
Perhaps, Alaji.
So.
Perhaps.
So. This is somebody who stated emphatically that she does not support gayism. She stated that one, we conveniently left that statement out. And because she said, I will protect their rights, we didn't even ask which of the rights.
Well, she added that she protect the right of every Ghanaian.
Every Ghanaian. That is the statement she made. Okay? And that is the call of every lawyer. To protect the liberties and rights of every citizen. Whether the person is an armed robber, whether he's a murderer. And that's why I've just told you that how many of us will not try to protect murderers or armed robbers who are being lynched? Does that also make us believers of armed robbery or murderers?
Not at all.
Certainly, it is not so.
Okay.
You see, I think that I don't support gayism. I don't support gayism. I frown on it. But why? We have imposed on ourselves a document called the Constitution.
Okay.
Okay? And the Constitution needs to be read in full, not in parts.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Okay, Alaji. And I would like to say a big thank you for making time to join us in this studio this evening. And viewers, we draw the curtains on tonight's discussion. I know you enjoy the discussion very, very much. But make a date with me on Thursday, same time, same place. Till then, stay blessed and be good. Bye-bye.